It's a finger-pointing palooza after the federal government shut down. Nearly every Senate Democrat voted against a Republican plan to open it back up, and now everyone says the other guy is to blame.
Democrats in Congress have officially shut down the United States government.
Democrats want to avert this crisis, but Republicans tried to bully us.
Chuck Schumer is listening to the far-left radicals in his own party.
Republican leadership is off playing make-believe in la-la land.
They prioritize taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens over keeping the government open for American citizens.
They don't even have the guts to be on Capitol Hill and debate us face to face.
They have taken the American people hostage.
If the women were in charge, we'd have done this by now.
Oh, sexist! President Trump already squeezing Chuck Schumer's state. The White House freezing $18 billion in New York City infrastructure funding. And DJT is warning the Dems that the shutdown layoffs could be irreversible.
We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible, that are bad for them and irreversible by them, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
When you shut it down, you have to do layoffs. So we'd be laying off a lot of people that are going to be very affected, and they're Democrats. They're going to be Democrats.
Amid the shutdown drama, 47's been trolling the hell out of Dem leaders, slapping sombreros on Hakeem's head, shoving Trump 2028 hats in their faces, serving up Diet Cokes, and showing off Biden's auto pen portrait. Watch this.
When he tried to hand you that Trump 2028 hat, what was your reaction?
Well, actually, he did not try to hand Leader Schumer and I the Trump 2028 hat. They just randomly appeared in the middle of the meeting on the desk. It was the strangest thing ever. And I just looked at the hat, looked at J.D. Vance, who was seated to my left, and said, "Don't you got a problem with this?" And he said no comment.
Poor kids. It's not like they weren't trolling the Republicans for the last 10 years by calling us Hitler and Nazi. They can't take a sombrero. Lighten up, champ. Okay. That was my monologue for today. Okay, so these shutdowns happen with such regularity. It seems like it's not about the participants. It's about the system itself, Dana. And you're a systems thinker.
It's like they're taking Miralax.
Yes, exactly. When the government shuts down, the consequences are felt by the citizens and not the shutdowners. So, shouldn't that be reversed?
Yes. Okay, so let's go back just a little ways, trip down memory lane. In October of 1995, at the first government shutdown, that was my first day on the job on Capitol Hill working as a press secretary. Didn't know if I was essential or not. It was a big deal. It was the first one. And it lasted a long time. There were headlines everywhere. This is Newt Gingrich. This is actually Mark Penn, who a lot of people see on this program. He was advising Bill Clinton at the time. He said, let the Republicans do. We will win this. And they felt like they did, of course, going into that next midterm. So then you have a situation where it happens over and over and over again. I have a friend down in Florida who's very involved in politics. He was out and about last night, so he asked everybody what they thought about the shutdown. Nobody knew what was happening.
Right.
Because what's happened is, over time, the shutdowns have become so anodyne that you're not going to miss your Social Security check. Anodyne. Everything is, did you like that word?
I'll have to look that up.
That's a great word.
Everything is pretty much working. You're not personally affected by it.
The White House becomes like Home Depot, where you could just walk around. I mean, not the White House, the government itself becomes like Home Depot. There's just nobody there to help you.
And if you're a conservative, you're thinking, great, the government shut down. That means they're not going to be able to do anything. The other thing is, when the Democrats want to play chicken with President Trump, I mean, come on. Who do they think is going to win? He doesn't mind doing irreversible cuts. And part of this is actually, it's bad for both sides. I think it's bad for the country. We should be able to do this in a reasonable way. But there's a woman, my last point is that Neera Tanden, she worked at the Obama and the Biden White House and also for Hillary Clinton.
Bozo.
She was attacking members of the media for pointing out that Democrats shut the government down, but they literally did. There were 13 votes that they took, and then they decided at the last minute they didn't. Now, the Democrats will have to decide how much do they care about Chuck Schumer's political future.
Right.
3 Democrats have already crossed over, and if the political pain for them gets much higher, then they could have more, but I do think this could go on a while. We'll be talking about this a while.
Ah, excellent, because you know this is my favorite topic. Jesse, I love the seriousness with which CNN placed the trolling. It's almost as though they have forgotten that for decades they have mocked Republicans, they've ridiculed them, and now the shoe's on the other foot, and they're like, This isn't funny at all.
Yeah.
Please stop.
CNN's asking Republicans to condemn a hat.
Yes.
It's just a hat Mexicans wear to keep the sun out of their eyes.
Why do they hate Mexican culture?
I don't see what's racist about putting a sombrero on anybody.
Yeah. Mexicans love sombreros.
Yeah, we wear cowboy hats. They wear sombreros.
Why does CNN hate Mexicans? That's a fair question.
Right. And the question is, why is Trump putting the sombrero on Hakeem's head? It's because Hakeem is shutting the government down to give Mexicans health care. And so I don't understand, if they call us Nazi, we can't put a sombrero on you? I mean, they look really, really uptight. And Trump looks loose. He looks confident. And he has all the leverage because he doesn't need anything. He got everything in the big, beautiful bill. The Democrats need stuff. They want to give stuff away. And they decided to fight this out now, and it's really not the right time. Trump is going to just start doging everything. Their windmills, their stupid, bloated programs for two-spirited people. It's all coming down. You think Democrats are just going to sit around and run out the clock? You think Trump is going to cave and say, okay, let's give billions to illegal aliens so they can get sex changes? You know, illegal aliens can actually get government-funded sex changes in California. That's what this is about. Biden paroled millions of people. He flew Venezuelans into the country and gave them access to health care. He said, if you are an asylum seeker, we're going to give you health care. And then in states like New York and California, you get it and the government funds it. And Trump's saying, no mas. That's all this is. And Schumer looks really dumb because the only reason he's doing this is to save face because his far left base wants action. And so he's going to give him a little action and then he's going to cave. And then what? Then what? I mean, AOC's already come out and said, hey, if you guys want to negotiate this, I'm your girl. How do you think that looks to Schumer? He's already losing power. Hakeem's getting clowned, and the stock market's up. They don't even care.
Well, Jesse makes some excellent points in there, but let me boil it down to this. And I think Jesse hit on it. Isn't this entire budget conflict a direct result of the border fiasco? And that you combine open borders with free stuff, and you have this massive opportunity cost on state and national budgets. And that's what we're seeing right now is a direct consequence of the abdication of your border responsibility. What say you, Miss Tarloff?
I say nay, no mas. Not correct. The border crisis, which was a real crisis that I acknowledged here on the television, did not make the GOP go for all the provisions in the reconciliation bill and give massive amounts of tax cuts to billionaires and take away Medicaid coverage from the poorest Americans. They did that themselves, irrespective of whatever happened at the border.
Medicaid
yeah, they did do that.
To who?
Actually, yes, and to cite it again, just listen to Josh Hawley talk about it if you don't believe me. Jesse said they're doing this because they want to give illegals health care. That is not true. It is prohibited. 2 points that are important.
Where
is it
prohibited in New York,
in
California?
Federal statute.
But it's
states are allowed to do whatever they
but where
want.
do they get the
money?
No,
they get the money from the feds,
okay,
Jessica.
Right.
This is musical chairs.
Then let's talk about the provision that they're trying to strike down from the big, beautiful bill, this section 71109.
Not that one.
That one in particular, which eliminated Medicaid coverage. They're trying to get this reinstated for groups that are here lawfully, including refugees, survivors of domestic violence, and trafficking victims. That's what the GOP, if you're seeing their tweets flying around,
If you show up in the border and say you were trafficked, you got in and you got free health care.
You don't have, they have protected
Yes.
status. That's what they're trying to reverse. But the point is, if you want to do a deal, if you actually care about people, which Mike Johnson reports
We hate people,
but Mike
Jessica,
Johnson
we're
is still
Republicans.
pretending that he does. The ACA tax credits are the crux of all of this. And 21 million of the 24 people that benefit from those subsidies are in Trump states. So he should want to keep them happy.
Yeah, they'll do that around Christmas.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they will.
They won't. We've been asking them to do it for months, and they don't. They're lying again, saying,
just
open up the government and we'll let that go ahead. 114% is how much those premiums are going to go
It's
up.
your
If
program. You guys set the date
Your
for it to
people
eclipse,
are on
and then
it.
you guys juiced up the premiums for COVID-level spending. They just say they want to bring it back down to pre-COVID, Jessica.
There's a reason that
Have
your
you even
bill
read
has.
this?
Yes, of course.
How do I know more
You
about
don't.
this? I think
That's
you're confused
fine
about the
it.
details.
I know exactly what the
I'm going to
levels
give
are.
you some
You
information
don't know about
to read in the commercial
section.
break.
I'm not reading anything.
Let me bring
you give
Paul.
me.
All right, look, it was supposed to be temporary. Just like Trump is saying, we have an opportunity here to do some things that are irreversible, which, by the way, do it right. If they're going to use this to identify superfluous employees at the federal level, do it with the 60-day notification that's required under civil service law, and that way it's done correctly and it won't be challenged in the courts. But let's go back to the opportunity. They used COVID to throw all of these subsidies in, and like any entitlement, when you go to take it away, people have strokes. That's how everybody loses their mind. This was supposed to be temporary. They're just adhering to what the original deal is. We don't have a lot of time. Let me just say something real quick. First of all, birth tourism is a real thing. All right? They come here, they have the babies, they get prenatal care, then the kid's a citizen, that's it. China, there's entire industries devoted to that. It happens, Jessica. I've been here in New York City. You got to rush them to the hospital. I'm not going to say no. The woman's in labor. Oh, but she's here illegally and she's from wherever. They're not going to say, go have your baby on the street. Of course they're going to take care of the person. We absorb those costs. Those costs do come from the federal government ultimately. Lastly, if you want to see where this stuff leads, just to make a macro point, I got to go back to Milton Friedman. You can't have open borders and a full safety net. You just can't have it. It's just a truism of life. And if you want to see where it goes, look at I'm going to say it again and I'm going to get tortured, the nut job archipelago of our cities, right? Johnson himself in Chicago has said, we've reached a point of no return. Well, then do something about it. You're the one that's been nothing but Democrat rule all of these decades. You're the ones who enacted this. You got to undo it, and they won't. And just to expand the canvas a little bit, where this ultimately leads is Europe. Look at Europe right now. It's failing, all right? The Wall Street Journal had a big article about a month ago. If you haven't read it, I recommend you go read this because I'm surprised it didn't make a bigger splash when it came out. I know, Dana, you read Europe is falling apart. It's because Epcot's got more juice than Europe. It's a fake Europe. They're losing all of their GDP. They have no borders. All of the all the pathologies of the far left have taken full hold in Europe. If you challenge them in any way, you're racist, you're sexist, you're homophobe, pick it. And as a result, they have about as much juice these days as an island off of Florida. So that's where this is going. And if you can't see that being $37 trillion in debt is leading us where Europe's irrelevance now resides, then you know what? You're choosing obsolescence, and I'm sorry.
All right, we got to move on.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.